Donald Trump is doing stupid racist shit again, and that is no surprise. It really shouldn't be news at this point, because that is Donald Trump's entire political career, serving stupid racist slop to people who just gobble it up because they are also stupid and racist. But today is particularly important in the context of two of the biggest problems that Donald Trump faces: his war on Iran, and of course the economic consequences of it, but also the economic consequences of his tariffs, his terrible economic agenda. And that is what Donald Trump is pretending to solve with a new racist announcement. We are going to get into it and how Donald Trump just had to flee in the middle. But before we do, I want to start with what Donald Trump said. Before, of course, we get to him running away and a lot of the reasons why. I just have to start with this ridiculous announcement that if you didn't know who Donald Trump was, you might think, okay, this kind of makes sense, but I want to explain what he's actually trying to do.
Brand new Freedom Haulers, we call it Freedom Haulers initiative. Any American who has driven a heavy truck for our military will automatically be eligible for a commercial driver's license, and it's good paying jobs too. Any veteran with a heavy vehicle experience from the military will now be eligible to skip redundant road tests to obtain a commercial driver's license. We're going to make it as easy as possible for the veterans within 2 years following their active duty service. And for the veterans where you have a situation where you have not truck drivers in the military, where you don't have truck drivers, they're going to be given a very quick pass. We're going to teach them. They're going to learn. If they didn't drive a truck in the military, but they're going to learn, and they're going to learn very quickly, and they'll be licensed in a matter of a few weeks, I think it is. They're going to take about 3 or 4 weeks of training. 34 states have joined.
All right, so on the face of this, you might say, okay, Donald Trump, I guess, cut a bunch of jobs at the VA, so now he's trying to replace them with truck driving, even though truck driving in its current state is kind of this predatory market where, you know, the big shipping industries are making people buy trucks that they can't afford. They're not paying them enough. It kind of keeps you in this system. And of course, Donald Trump's buddy Elon Musk is trying to automate away the truck driving industry, which, you know, employs so many people across this country. Nevertheless, you might say, okay, you know, Donald Trump trying to jobs for veterans. Okay, yeah, I guess maybe there's an angle here. I don't know. I think people, if they're driving 18-wheelers, should probably have the correct license. I don't know if we need to speed that up. It's very dangerous. It takes a lot of skill, a lot of knowledge. And that's not exactly just a job that you jump into, but maybe Trump is trying to do. You might say that if you are unfamiliar with his game. But do you know why Donald Trump is actually doing this? It's just race baiting. That's what he's doing. And you can see with the other part of the announcement.
For it, and these people don't have that. They are driving big rigs, semi-trucks, and tractor trailers, all because radical left maniacs at the state level have issued them commercial driver's licenses, even though they're not entitled to have them. They don't speak the language for the most part. Many of these illegal aliens don't even come close. They don't want to learn the language. They don't care about the language, and they don't speak it. They don't speak English. They cannot read basic road signs. In many cases, they've engaged in reckless driving that has caused many, many preventable deaths, too many to even talk about.
So unfortunately, I pay attention to right-wing circles enough that this has come up as an issue. Once again, there have been a couple of stories of immigrants who don't speak English as a first language or at all driving trucks and getting into accidents, because people who drive trucks get into accidents. And so the right has decided that they are going to frame this as this giant catastrophe in which immigrants driving 18-wheelers don't know how to read signs that they have to know how to read to get their licenses, and it's destroying Western culture, and it's the biggest problem that there is, and that the real reason stuff is expensive is because there's immigrant truck drivers. Like, none of it makes sense. It is, again, just trying to say Donald Trump has disrupted our shipping patterns, our free trade. Donald Trump has disrupted the economy with his tariffs. And the real problem actually is immigrants driving trucks. That's the real problem. That's why things are expensive. And that's why lettuce makes you poop now. It's not true. So Donald Trump announcing, well, we're going to do this for veterans is really just a way to kind of spin up this racist attack. as something real and sensible, it's not. It doesn't make any sense at all. Also, at a time in which shipping costs are already getting more expensive because of the cost of energy and everything else, why would you want to take people out of the system? None of it makes any sense. Again, it's all just racist idiocy, which is why Donald Trump just ran away after this press conference.
You've done very much. Bye. Thank you.
Now, do we really think that Donald Trump is running away because he feels so strongly about this policy and can defend it? No. Again, this is just more race baiting from Donald Trump. It's him saying, well, quite frankly, I think that things are expensive in this country because of the immigrants doing jobs, transporting goods and food and produce and commodity and everything. And Donald Trump is trying to claim that there is this mass problem of immigrants driving trucks, killing people. It's not a thing. There have been instances, one happened in California, in which Donald Trump tried to claim that like Gavin Newsom personally gave someone a license illegally that they shouldn't have had. And so now Gavin Newsom is responsible for everything bad that's happened in America. It is nonsensical. It is just Donald Trump, as he always does, trying to pivot some real problem in the economy and blame it on immigrants. And he's trying to pretend that this is like some great win for veterans, that Donald Trump is going to be helping them get jobs. Or you could just stop killing them. Maybe you could just stop killing our service members in Iran. It seems just like a much better option if you want to do something for the troops. But this isn't a real plan. This isn't a real agenda. This won't do anything to solve the economic ills that Donald Trump has created. And it just goes to show that he's a stupid person, a crazy person, out of touch with what is actually hurting our economy, which is him. And every time that Donald Trump makes one of these stupid announcements, sure, like his base sluices it up because they're so excited to pretend that all the problems in their lives are because brown people exist, but everyone else just sees him as a freak. I think Mehdi Hassan put it perfectly.
I don't think the kind of posts you mentioned just now to Alex, the kind of 43 posts in the middle of the night, I don't think they do Trump any favors at all. I think I'm often glad that we have an unhinged fascist trying to run the country, rather than a hinged fascist. I'm glad that Donald Trump isn't the disciplined person his supporters wish he was, because then we'd be in a lot more trouble, those of us who oppose his agenda. Let's be real. His approval ratings are the lowest of any president at this point in their presidency. Part of the reason is because he posts unhinged nonsense. Part of the reason is because he comes across as a crazy person, as a sociopath often. And part of the reason, obviously, is he's failed on his pledges. Gas prices are up, inflation's up, etc. So I don't quite buy that. I agree with you, Piers, in the sense that he uses it as a weapon, and clearly it's a very powerful weapon for him. But it's a double-edged sword. It's also allowed us to see him posting in the middle of the night absolutely insane things that his most loyal followers, including Steve, can't defend if you put some of those posts in.
All of the weird press conferences and the weird blame shifting and the weirdness is just making people weirded out. Like, Donald Trump is clearly in cognitive decline. Donald Trump clearly has dementia. Donald Trump clearly doesn't have a plan to correct any of the economic crises that he personally is responsible for. And again, Donald Trump disrupting the supply chain further by deciding that, the biggest problem with our economy right now is truck drivers who don't speak English as a first language or don't speak enough English. They have to know what the signs mean and what they say. Like, there is already testing to become a truck driver. Like, to be a commercial truck driver, there are tests that already exist. It's like when Republicans say, we're gonna outlaw illegal immigrant or undocumented people voting. Undocumented people don't vote. What are you talking about? They're like, we're not gonna let Americans vote in presidential elections. We're gonna pass a law to stop it. It doesn't happen. But they're just trying to gin up their base. And why? It is because Donald Trump has never been more unpopular, and specifically on the economy. And it's because of his tariffs, not because of trucks. The polling shows it clearly.
I feel like I'm in bizarro world, okay? Because the definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing over and over again and hope for a different result. And that is just simply put not been the case with President Trump in terms of the train has left the station and the American people have spoken. They hate these new tariffs. U.S. on new tariffs on imported goods. You go back to November of 2024. Look, 52% of Americans favor him right after Donald Trump's election, 48% opposed. But then we entered the real world in tariffs, and Americans saw the effects of them. What happened to the opposition to new tariffs? Up like a rocket. We're talking 63% of Americans now oppose the idea of new tariffs, compared to just 37% who favor it. So the bottom line is this: the American people have seen what tariffs have done to the economy, and they simply put, do not like it, and have turned against the President of the United States, who, as I said, it feels like bizarre world, because from a political standpoint, it is absolutely insanity that keeps trying to do something that the American people clearly very much do not like.
Bizarre world, also because there is a red sun, but that's another.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
All right.
Superman.
And the president's approval rating, how has it been? Or how has it sort of mirrored the tariff situation?
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, the tariffs were what set Donald Trump off on a pathway to nowhere, on a pathway to a presidency that is a dead end. Take a look at this. Trump's negative net approval rating. Every single poll since March 29, 2025, that is over a year ago, in fact, days in a row, it's 482 days in which every single poll that meets CNN standards for publication, Donald Trump has had a negative net approval rating. Well, what happened right around March 29, 2025? All polls just before Liberation Day 2025. It was the tariffs. It was the massive implication of those tariffs, the implementation of it, that, of course, many of them got overturned, that turned the American people once and for all against Donald Trump in his second term as president.
Went underwater just around Liberation Day, been underwater every day since. All right, how does the rest of the world feel about this?
Yeah, okay. So the rest of the world doesn't like it either. I mean, that's not much of a surprise, right? But still, it's notable, right? Net approval rating Trump on tariffs. Brazil, 51 points underwater. Canada, 65 points underwater. Mexico, 73 points underwater. Trump has been underwater so long on tariffs, both here and abroad, that the bottom line is this: it's almost like he is the Little Mermaid. He just doesn't even come up for air anymore.
And this could have a political impact in the other direction than the president wants in some of these countries.
Exactly right. Take a look at Brazil. 51 points underwater there. Well, there's a presidential election going on there. Top chances to win the Brazilian presidential election. Lula, who President Trump does not like, he has now a 63% chance, while, in fact, Bolsonaro, who Trump very much likes, an ally, 25% chance. Donald Trump is killing his allies with these tariffs.
Harold Denton, thank you very much.
Thank you, Johnny.
We have a lot of news this morning.